Welcome to Turn Extension, a supplemental podcast for the Advanced Maneuvers YouTube channel.
Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Turn Extension. My name is Tony, or Polar Bear Cub on the forums.
Hey everybody, it's Kevin.
Hey everybody, it's Devin, Cutthroat Cure on the forums.
On the forums.
Furer.
Forums. So we've had a couple weeks off, and we are back now. So I guess just Devin was gone 2 weeks ago because he's coming back from Lock and Load, and he was, took a little bit of time because that's a long-ass flight. And then the following week, I couldn't get my schedule together with anyone else's because I'm a bad person. So we took that week off, but now we're back. And I'm super excited because we've already talked about, people have already talked about Lock and Load, but, fuck it, we're going to talk about our version.
We did our own version of Lock and Load?
Well, I mean, like how we took it and interpreted it and how we're excited and just full-on chubs.
Some of us actually went.
And by some of us, we mean one of us. Yeah, so Lock and Load was fantastic. This was definitely, in my opinion, the year to go. Like, of course, there was a little snags here and there. Some of the stuff felt weird, especially with no press gangers, working the events. And it felt a little strange, especially the Invitational. I think the Invitational, which last year had to have like maybe 200 people at it, had like 30 this year. So that was a little bit. I mean, there was a speech given to us that were there, and they gave out a few little items with knickknacks and stuff. We also have a fourth attendee in today's discussions. That's Tony's daughter, Addie. So she might pop in every once in a while.
Addie, or baby Polar Bear Cub.
I mean, arguably, she's better at Warmachine and Hordes than you, because she's played as many games as you have.
That is true. Since she's been born, her and I have played the exact same amount of games.
But no, so as I said, the Invitational was a little weird. So I got into Seattle on Wednesday, so I was up there for almost a week, and I stayed with my dear friend Dallas, and that was a ton of fun. We got to hang out whenever he was available, and I got to see a good bit of Seattle. And I just got to spend some time with Travis, Marg, and Aaron. Aaron was actually nice enough to pick me up from the airport. So it was a lot of stuff that I was worried about going up there for so long, got fixed because it just, had so many friends in the area that were able to kind of help me out. But then it was I think one of the best things that Privateer Press did this year was doing the keynote on Friday morning, first thing. And the keynote is, if anybody who watched it, was just absolutely fantastic. And they held nothing back. And the cool part, and one thing I really enjoyed about what Privateer Press did this year that they did not do last year, and I felt like has been the feeling throughout the year, is that everything's been very cloak and dagger. They've had to keep it real close to what is Privateer Press going to do next? Where are we going? What are we going to see? Is this faction going to get something? Is that faction going to get something? And then, come Friday, the first official day of the convention, and they just let us have it. They let us know anything they can. And not only that, but right after that, then it's you would go to the CID lives, and then they would just give us all this information that, was very much a spoiler. For me, I was super excited about I'm super excited about the new Reach Heavy for Trolls. But, they gave us little tidbits in the keynote, and you're like, oh, that's awesome. You go to the CID live, and, Pagani, being the angel that he is just here you go. Here's the point cost. Here's how many initial attacks. Here's how much fury. Just giving us all the information of what they're going to put into the CID that was starting. And that felt so much better because it made me excited for the company again, because it didn't feel like they were being secretive. It felt like a community again, which, as I said, kind of fixed the issue I was feeling on Thursday, when the community that was so, enveloped in was, so like bare bones, and it just felt, it was definitely very somber. The rest of the week went fantastic. I got to meet a lot of people from different countries. I got to hang out with Andrew Hayden from Australia, and he's a fantastic person, and we had a ton of fun. I got to hang out with Nicholas from Colombia, who I got to look at his beautiful Convergence army, and he's a great guy, and gave me many invites to come down and, see Colombia and, meet some of the players down there, which was very, which was very nice to have. And I just got to meet so many other people that I just spent so much time with. And Lock and Load this year was great. And I mean, and the release for Grimkin, like, I know when we did the release for MK3, that it was, like the stations worked well, but it was a little confusing. This year, it looks like they worked all the bugs out. Like, it was just like bing, bang, boom. People were in and out in like half an hour. And, Grimkin seemed to be really well received there. And, it was just, I don't know, it was really good. I enjoyed it. All the games that were being played, it was, it was definitely a good year to go to Seattle for the event.
Arguably, I'm actually a little bitter because last year was my year to go to Lock and Load, and I don't know if it's a case of grass is greener on the other side or if it legitimately was a better event, but I really felt like when I was seeing the coverage and that you were providing on like Facebook and stuff like that, and seeing Privateer Press being more involved and sharing out more and all that stuff and whatnot, that I legitimately wish I had done the trip this year instead of last year. Like I had fun last year. Don't get me wrong. It was a great time because I got to go out. And it was like 5 of us that went out there. But I don't know, like everything that happened at the Lock and Load, I really wished I would have been able to fish. I was legitimately, jealous that you were getting to experience all of it. But part of me also kind of was looking at it like, is this a scenario of Privateer Press learned from their mistakes and really tuned it up? Like the keynote obviously was a huge example of that, but then I have to dial back and go, how much of the keynote from last year being so short was a result of all the leaks that were happening with the card database and all that stuff? And like, those things could have been really exciting in the keynote last year if we didn't already know about them before we went. So maybe difference is something that was outside of their control, but the keynote was definitely better. I really wish I could have been there for Company Iron last year. I think they were doing Undercity. I believe it was Undercity they were demoing. I've never really been excited about them, but I'm
Yeah, it was
no,
Undercity.
they were doing Wood. They were demoing Wood.
Yeah, Widows Wood. But the Company of Iron, I'm like chomping at the bit to find out more information about that. But yeah, hey, by the way, Privateer Press, if you want to hook a brother up, I'm just saying, we're here. I'm sitting here. I want to know more. Anyways, it's I don't know. It's one of the situations where I felt like last year's, the whole convention, not just the keynote, the whole convention was 10 times better than the year before.
And I'll be honest with you, Kevin, like, I have to agree with you 100%. Like, I went last year. Last year was so much fun, and it was actually more than just 5 of us, because you had me, you, Tony, Herman, Sheridan, John, Hauser, Brian Fox, you had Danny, Donnie. I mean, there was like 13 or 14 of us actually from this area.
Yeah, I didn't mean in the area. I just meant from the AM crew. I apologize.
Oh yeah. So I mean, still, like, just like the majority of the AM crew went up, and still, like, it was like, but this year we only had 2 people. We went from having 15, 16 people from the Nova-esque area, and then this year we had 2, and that was just me and LeClaire. And honestly, talking to Pagani, talking to Jackson, talking to Hungerford and Dallas and everybody else that I was able to just spend a lot of time with this year, it was made very clear to me that they've learned so much over the last year. They've witnessed so many different things that the company itself seems to be restructuring. And it seems like they're trying to take a different approach. Like, it was funny. We had this big, long joke, spent a lot of time with the, awesome Jason Souls. And it was this running joke that as Jason was playing more and he was drinking more and more from his flask, you could get information from him that, wasn't discussed like, hey, here's the list of stuff we can talk about. He was just like, here you go, here's some more information. Because they told them to be very open about stuff, about the, about things that were coming out, because they wanted people to be excited. And that was very verbally shown. Like, they said, we want people to be excited. Like last year, it was very much, you can talk about this, but not this, this, or this. This year, they said, hey, they told, I know in a conversation between Pagani and I, he said they went to him and they said, hey, if people are excited about it and they want to talk about it, talk to them about it. Get
That's
them
awesome.
feeling excited. And I was like, that feeling right there, you could tell was across the entire convention. Like, everybody could feel that Privateer Press was showing that. And like, the convention was so much better. I know I did in one of my videos, I interviewed 52 people in 20 minutes. And I asked each of the 52 people the same few questions just because I wanted to see it. And it was, where are you from? What's your name? What were you most excited about the keynote? And all those, of course, were very, all over the place, here and there, back and forth. Dracodile was the number one most excited thing everybody was talking about. It was fantastic. But the last question I asked everybody is, would you say the keynote this year was better than last year? Or were you happy with the keynote this year? And absolutely, I didn't have a single person say no. Everybody said it was amazing. Best keynote I've seen, And it seemed like that mentality, just by starting with such an awesome keynote, with releasing so much information, getting everybody excited, that I didn't see an upset person there all week. Like, everybody was talking about how excited they were for this, how excited for that. And it wasn't like just a mystery of what they were going to get. It wasn't some little half video or half picture of an item and you're trying to guess what that sword could do. If you found one of the developers, if you went to the CID Live, if you asked them a direct question, hey, what's this going to have? It was very rare that I ever heard, I can't really talk about that right now. It was always like, yeah, this is what we're planning. Yeah, we'd like to have it speed 6, or we'd like to have, this there. And I feel like it was such a positive reaction, and like talking to everybody like on Friday and then talking to people on Sunday, including the staff, and then just their reaction of how much better this year went than previous years, I think told them a lot about what we as a community want. And look what it's doing. The second part of our conversation today is, how has Lock and Load, what came out at Lock and Load, impacted our local meta? Now, before I went to Lock and Load, we had a conversation about the meta and just how, it's just been stagnant, And now it's like, every single day anymore, I'm seeing people post up, hey, want to get a game? We have tournaments are starting to be run again. People are excited about Grimkin and, all the stuff that's coming. And it's just like, Tony's even going to play a game today, actually. So, things are changing.
Yeah, and I'll try to talk before baby polar bear decides to start screaming again. No, I've been super excited about the game just in general, especially after Lock Load. It's something that just got me so pumped. And yeah, I'm going to play against, so it's my first time playing Convergence in about a year. And my first time playing the game in probably a good 6 months. And, me being me, I'm going right into Ghost Fleet. Thanks, Leclerc. So I will definitely get my teeth kicked in. But then tomorrow, actually, some of the advanced maneuver guys are going to come up, and we're going to play some more games. So I'm super excited. I'm hoping by this weekend I'll at least get 3 or 4 games in, which would be cool. Hopefully some of them will be recorded so I can show my face on the stream again. But, be gentle, everyone, when I lose horribly.
I know it's been a while since you've been on the channel, Tony, but you're not supposed to show your face on the camera. You're supposed to play a game.
Yeah, but I do
Tony,
it
that's
alone.
not your face.
I do what I want. No, but I mean, no, but like I am so excited, and like I'm really excited about Convergence. So excited about Orion. I think, Orion. I think Orion is the thing that I wanted for Convergence for a very long time that Mother did not provide. But no, that the DirectX just doesn't do. I think Orion is going to do a lot of things that makes me really excited about Convergence. And also, I am so excited for when October comes around and I can finally get my Siege 2 and put him on the table. It's at a point right now where actually we have a Maryland group that's going on, and I let people know that, hey, if you guys have fully painted armies and you want to play, we try to record games and try to put them for some guest spots on Advanced Maneuver in the future. And I got a huge response. Tons of people have painted armies they want to play. It looks like the community in general is getting really excited again.
So let's dive into that a little bit.
I am definitely seeing community groups starting to spur up again. Like just after Lock and Load, so as some people might know, I run the Warmachine and Hordes painting group with the other admins. And just since Lock and Load, we have accepted over 500 new people into the group.
Which that's a huge amount. That's a ton of people.
Yeah. Yeah, it's bonkers.
But I feel like, and I know you want to talk about that, Kevin, and I'm excited to go what you're going down the path. But like, I really honestly think it was because the openness we had with Privateer Press. And I'll be honest, man, I really think Will Pagani has brought something. It might just be a very big coincidence that, hey, when he started, that there's been a shift. But I really think Pagani has done a lot for the company just in general. I feel like they are more open.
Yeah, I mean, that was actually a conversation we had at Lock and Load. I was sitting there talking to Dallas and a few other of the people we were just out to dinner. And one of the biggest things we were talking about is with Privateer Press being so out in the open now. So every single week we're getting these live chats with the developers. And then every single week we're getting a new video from Privateer Press on how to do something. And then every single Thursday we're getting a live video with Dallas painting, just trying to motivate people. And I think that those are really spurring them as being part of the community. It's really getting people excited. And then on top of that, you have Pagani, who's like pushing a lot of this forward. And it's, there's even jokes now, like if you want to make a War Machine's wish, you just tag Pagani and he appears, and it's true,
I guess the only thing about that statement that I don't like, not necessarily concerning, I don't want to sound alarmist or anything like that, but it's, I don't think we can solely put the company's success on Pagani's shoulder. The company obviously identified, basically sat back and went, we have a problem. Like we need to address this because the community is clearly not happy. And unlike other miniature companies who, don't necessarily feel like their community strength is the strength of the company, Privateer Press gets that. Like they've gotten that since day one of the community is what's going to drive the success or failure of our company. And I think that Pagani may have had efforts into things have improved, but I don't think he's the sole benefactor of that benefit. Like I don't think he's the sole person who led that. The entire community, the entire company has basically made the decision of we need to fix this. We need to make the community happy. How do we do this? Now they've done that attempts through CID, and we're starting to see some fruits of that labor. They're more involved in the painting efforts and getting involved in the actual communities or reaching out to other fan-created communities. And I think it's gotten to a point where Privateer Press has gotten as far as they can with realm for improvement. Like the whole the Christmas thing is obviously a great thing because it settles a lot of the arguments of I'm buying something and I never see anything for several years. For the 12 days of Christmas and then CID and all that other stuff. But I think that it's almost to a point now where it's really kind of coming down to the community to step up to the plate. Like as a prime example, LeClaire sat down and was like, you know what? Maryland community. Like, we don't have press gangers anymore. They had a couple like Google Hangouts and stuff like that you could post things to, but he basically went, a lot of people on Facebook, a lot of organization, a lot of conversations happen on Facebook. Let's get one wrapped around Maryland. And he's leading that charge. He's leading that charge with the Facebook group. He's leading that charge with the Baltimore circuit. He's stepping up to the plate too, even though there is no press gangership anymore. I think he's still technically a judge, but he's leading that effort to make sure that the community doesn't die out. And I really feel like some of the community has, like, that Privateer Press said it before when we pulled them on for an interview. Somebody in the community has to step up to the plate.
I have to also send out a huge shout out, and I wanted to do this as soon as we had our next podcast, but we just haven't had a podcast since. But I actually want to send out a huge shout out to an individual in the community who surprised me. I will say surprised me and stepped the fuck up and actually is running shit pretty well. And that's Danny McGeegan. He stepped up. He ran his first tournament ever.
Snarky.
Snarky.
Yeah, everybody knows Snarky.
Okay. Well, I'm not sure. As the forums barely exist anymore, nobody knows forum names anymore. So, but definitely he set up his first event. He messaged me, asked for a lot of advice. I was able to actually witness the tournament with my own eyes. I didn't play and I didn't participate, but I was able to go. And every person I talked to that were there had such a good time. And there was like one or two little minor issues, but it wasn't with how the tournament was ran. It's of course with the game, but everything was handled so smoothly. And it made me so happy to see somebody who's such a great player and plays such a strong game actually take a step back and allow other people to be able to play so that he could so that other people had the ability.
I say that somebody needs to step up to the plate, but I think what ends up happening is if you don't have community involvement, it's going to be a scenario. I'll take Danny as an example. Not that I think that this would necessarily happen, but if Danny is the one who every month is setting up the organization and organizing the events and all that stuff, he never gets to play. And that's going to wear on somebody super fast. So I think it's a situation if Danny mainstays and he leads the organization, all that stuff, and then every once in a while I or Steve or somebody pops in and goes, hey, Danny, I tell you what, I got it this time around. Why don't you go play? That will go a long way to make sure that there's a healthy community. There's other things that have to be addressed, like, somebody's got to be willing to scrap a game in the middle of a Wednesday night in order to do a demo for somebody new or something like that. But I think here's the facts. Privateer Press, the press gangership program's gone. We all miss it. We all wish it was still here. It's gone. We can commiserate and complain and whine about it all we want, or we can move forward and make sure that the community doesn't die off on the vine. There are several communities all over the world that are dying because nobody has stepped up to the plate.
Or dead.
And if you're hearing us now and you've been like, man, I haven't been able to get a game in months because no one's organizing it, guess what? It's now on your shoulders to step up to the plate and get these communities going. You can lead the charge. You have to be willing to make sacrifices and compromises, but somebody has to get the organization. And I guarantee you, if one person steps up and starts leading the charge, others will start supporting them. And like in Danny's case, will start coming up and be like, hey, Danny, take this one off. I got it. I'll cover it or something like that. And other things will come along to help us, but somebody has got to start the charge. And if you're hearing my voice right now and your community's dying, I challenge you to pick up that mantle.
Yeah, someone's got to pick up the slack. And I mean, that's something I was talking to Danny about, is the fact that, he cannot be required to run each event. And I mean, I'll be honest, the PG program was fantastic, but you get to that point where it's too hard on you as a player, because this is a game. This is a fucking game that people like to enjoy. And as much as I might claim that I loved running events, which I do love running events, I fell so much out of playing the game that when that ability went away, then I became bitter about it. And it took me a while to realize that. And I realize it now, that how bitter I became, because I didn't see myself, I didn't see where I fit into the community anymore. I didn't see where I fit into the game, because it had been so long since I had played games in the tournament format or any of that stuff, that I had actually forgotten and had removed myself from actually being a player. I was just an event coordinator,
Yeah.
And that was a big realization for me. And we've had conversations about this. It's what it was. But now it's like I'm talking to people and I'm saying, hey, if we want to run an event, like maybe I run it this month. And then if you want to do an event next month or the month after, this person runs it. Just get a revolving schedule so that people can all together, work it out. Because, yeah, maybe you don't get to play one event. But if you don't get to play an event, one single event in an entire year, but there are events happening throughout the single year, that's a success.
Yeah, and I think we're kind of seeing that. So as an example, after the lock and load, there was a lot of, in our community, there was a lot of, this is awesome. We know what's going on. Privateer Press is talking a lot. They're giving us a lot of information. You know what I mean? Like you were saying, a lot of information is coming out of Privateer Press, and it's really, really energized a lot of people. There are some people that I talk to who are like, man, fuck Privateer Press. I don't want anything to do with it, that are now going, maybe?
Maybe I should dip my toe back in? I know one
maybe just a little bit.
individual I'm not going to say, huh?
I said maybe just a little dip toe.
It's not even so much as one individual. I know a couple people who were very adamant, like they were prepped to sell their armies off. They were done. They were over with. Some were going to Games Workshop. Some were just like, I'm out of miniature gaming altogether. There wasn't just one individual. This was an epidemic that was happening to multiple individuals in multiple metas. And you're starting to see that pop up. Facebook grapes, people who were like, fuck Privateer Press, are going, I'm now willing to have a conversation with people because I have an understanding. I have a guidance. There's something to a community of knowing, of being able to see a course to give them an understanding. I don't want to say hope, because hope implies that that was probably a pop in somebody's ear. There was an understanding of hope implied that there was doom and gloom, and I don't think anybody, well, I shouldn't say anybody, I don't think most people felt that Privateer Press was going to go bankrupt next year. But not having guidance or not having a vision made a lot of people very uncomfortable, very unsure. They weren't ready. I had legitimately last year spent considerably less money on Privateer Press than I have in the past month.
And that's crazy.
I think that the community is starting to see, now that Privateer Press came out, there's no longer this, I don't know what the fuck this company's doing. There's an understanding, there's a guide. Is it the right path? We won't know until we walk down it, but at least we're walking together with Privateer Press. They're giving us an understanding of what they're trying to do. They're not this shadow organization off in the trees that we can't see. And we get to move forward. But I think this, like I was saying, I just, there's a lot of passion, there's a lot of excitement, and there's a part of me that is terrified that this passion and excitement is just because of all the flashy stuff we saw in the keynote, and in a month it's all going to die off and we're going to be back to a slowly dying community. And I really feel like we have to ride that high now and get crap going to get the community reinvigorated and doing tournaments and doing things all over again.
Yeah, like one big thing for us, like a big prove for me. So as I do a lot of work with the Nova Open in Arlington, Virginia, and we actually just got our numbers back for pre-registration. And I mean, most years, last year was a rough year for pre-registration, and we definitely blame that on, hey, it's probably Mark III coming out, people are unsure, whatever. But definitely this year, we have the highest pre-registration for Warmachine and Hordes that we've ever had before. Like, Nova is completely, and I can say it here finally officially, Privateer Press will be at Nova Open this year. We do have confirmation of that. They will be running demos of Company of Iron for the first time major actual box demos of Company Iron on their mats at Nova Open Labor Day weekend in Arlington, Virginia. So if you are within the vicinity or want to take a day out, grab a day pass, come down, meet JR, meet Oz, who is actually the game developer of Company of Iron, and ask him questions. I mean, it's really, that's super exciting. And I'm seeing we hadn't even told people that yet, and we've already reached the highest amount of pre-registration we've ever reached. So that's awesome, and it's definitely showing a lot for me. And I mean, I know I'm excited for where the game's going. I mean, I'm actually painting again pretty heavily. I'm talking to my friend CJ all the time about creating lists and stuff. Northkin has me super excited. I've got some big conversion plans. Like it's a good time to start reinvigorating yourself about the game or to get back into it.
No, I agree. I think it is a kind of a nice time to kind of roll into that. And one thing I did, when I was talking back before about, Pagani and stuff, I mean, I think Jackson has also done a lot. But just in general, you guys are right. The game company itself has done a huge amount to kind of push us. And for us to kind of seize the day almost to get the company going, get the community going again is kind of a big deal.
100%. And I didn't say this earlier, Kevin, but I agree with you 100%. I do not, and I will make this clear, I do not believe in any way that the name of the success of Privateer Press in these last recent months is called Pagani. I think it's that Privateer Press has a whole new team between Jackson, you got Dallas and Brendan, you've got Pagani, you've got, Hungerford in a different position. You've got all these big key players who are, doing things differently that maybe a game that was stagnant, now we have a new crew at the ship and it's running smoother and it's looking better.
So I've got a question for you that just kind of popped in my head. Obviously, there's a lot of wills in Privateer Press, and there's been kind of this running tagline of the Council of Wills. Could the success of Privateer Press be laid on the Council of Wills, since they touch so much of what's going on and they seem to be so involved with the community, with their keynotes on Facebook is usually populated by the Council of Wills, and one of the wills is usually leading some sort of effort in getting engagement with the community and getting people involved. And can we lay down the label of the Council of Wills is leading the ship at this moment?
I see. It depends on the community. I guess for me, I have to say that. So the Council of Wills is definitely running the helm of the game development. So if you are excited about the game, if you're excited about playing, if you're excited about the new specific rules and how they interact, then we need to look to the Council of Wills. But when you look at people who are getting excited for the sculpting, when you look at people who are getting excited for the painting side, who are getting excited for these new beautiful models that are coming out and just blowing people's minds, then we need to look at Dallas.
I thought Will Hungerford handcrafted all the models that came out of Privateer Press.
You're wrong. Hamilton, Doug Hamilton has sculpted every model at Privateer Press, and Will Hungerford wrote the rules and created the game.
You mean Will Hamilton?
No, it's Will Hungerford. Doug Hamilton.
I think we need to have him change his name to Will Hamilton.
No, that's God. That's God. Will Hamilton is God.
So I guess basically what it's one of those situations where I look back and I think Lock and Load was a major success. It really reinvigorated a lot of the people, even to a point of reinvigorating some of the naysayers. And that high can only carry us for so long. It is now up to the community to step up to the plate and carry it through. And I think it's almost like Lock and Load gave us the boost we need to get back to where we were. But we could theoretically waste it if we do nothing over the next 2 months.
Which, I mean, I think could be very likely. If we get this high boost And if we don't see the community start thriving, if we don't see people start stepping up like Danny,
she said, "Don't you dare mention his name."
God, I know. Then we will see the community start falling apart again, I think. But just like that with every single community, a bunch of other companies, they've been through this rut before. It's just how quickly Privateer Press is going to get out of this faster than anybody else. And I think they really do have the potential to.
I think they can. If the I'm going to throw another company on the table, is Games Workshop. Everybody's always been like, oh, Games Workshop beats Privateer Press. And a bunch of people even were like, hey, I'm going to go over to Games Workshop because Privateer Press is failing at the helm. But there's no program for Games Workshop. They haven't had one in forever. It's always community driven. They're just now getting back to the point where that company is getting involved with their community again. Privateer Press can easily succeed in a similar model with Privateer Press involved, engaged, and the community leads. I'm getting so boxy here, and I apologize for them. And it is on our shoulders. If your community is dying right now, it's your fault.
Kevin, I feel like the day you aren't boxy is a day we should be concerned.
Yeah, it's... Where's Kevin? He's not on a soapbox. Must be dead.
All right, guys. So I think it's a good time to kind of wrap this up. Any last thoughts?
Shut up and play.
All right, guys. With that being said, I want to thank everyone for listening to another episode of Turn Extension.
Have a good night.